Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to our international press review in the papers here on France 24 today. Fingers covered in newsprint. Mary McCarthy. Mary, where are you going to start?
Well, good morning, Mark. Today we're going to start with the Bangkok Post. They have a really good article on the summit of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, which I have a hard time saying. You've been talking about that in your news bulletins. Now, the issue is that one of the members of ASEAN is Burma. And there's a lot of pressure for the other leaders at the summit for them to denounce Burma, the recent bloody crackdown on pro-democracy protesters. And the thing is, they haven't put that on the agenda. The leaders are expected behind closed doors to say, Burma, what you're doing is bad, but there's not expected to be a big official statement. Now, the Bangkok Post, what's interesting about their article is they try to explain the reason that Southeast Asian leaders are acting this way. And they say that these leaders are afraid that any move to push out Burma's military rulers would lead to the country's disintegration, or as the title of the article says, which we see here, dictators are better than disintegration. And they say if Burma plunges into civil war, then that would let other neighboring countries, China, India, Thailand...
Because there have been calls from the US, calls from the EU for action to be taken against Burma, obviously, given what's been happening there, but they're not going to be pushed on that at all. No direct action against them. Exactly,
and actually they're pushing the action towards others. They're saying the UN is already taking actions. They're sending their envoys, etc. So we'll just leave it with that, and we're not going to do anything for
So
for
Bangkok Post kind of like thinking that's a good thing to do.
Well, they're explaining anyway. They don't come out.
That's interesting. As all good journalists should explain. That's right. Where would you like to go next, Mary?
We're going now to Europe. This weekend there were the elections in the Serbian province of Kosovo.
Big story, but low turnout of voters, wasn't there? I think.
Exactly. And the former rebel leader Hashim Thaçi, he won as prime minister, and he's expected to declare independence in early December. And we're going to go look at an article in the British paper The Guardian, and they provide a very pessimistic outlook for Kosovo because they say that this declaration of independence could lead to a situation in the province in which law and order disappear. It would be a humanitarian and military disaster. Now, if that happens within Kosovo, which is of course part of Serbia, then that would lead to instability there, as well as in surrounding countries like Macedonia. And
so obviously, as documented previously, the Serbians are very much against losing Kosovo, which is part of their landmass, if you like. But the UN, of course, which has been running Kosovo, says that Kosovo should have some kind of self-determinating independence or whatever. That's the kind of context.
That's right.
So the feeling in The Guardian is that if on December the 10th, as Thaçi said, he'll declare independence, it's going to be the beginning of something. Well, it's going to be like lighting the blue touch paper of the explosives.
That's right. So The Guardian is warning about that, but even more than that, they're saying Europe needs to wake up and pay more attention to what's going on. This is a potential major conflict again. It's not the United States this time that's going to jump in. They have other fish to fry in other parts of the world. So European governments, whether the EU or individual European governments, need to start paying more attention. So for more on that, go to The Guardian.
Okay. So next, it's the New York Times and their view of their favourite French American.
Exactly.
Not you. No.
I'm not French American, just American. And the New York Times has an editorial about French President Nicolas Sarkozy, and it's titled "The Two Sides of Mr. Sarkozy." And it basically says that we've been hearing a lot in the American press about how pro-American Nicolas Sarkozy is, to the point that he's been nicknamed Sarko the American. And he agrees with the United States on a lot of key issues like Iran, like the war on terrorism. However, there's certain issues where Sarkozy parts ways with the United States. He's very protectionist when it comes to economic policies. So the New York Times says that unless he opens his economic policies, becomes less protectionist, then he's not going to be a true pro-American leader. So they sort of condemn him for that.
Mary, thank you very much for that. You've been watching France 24's International Press Review. Stay with us.